Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Carsten. Hello.
Hello, Kristen.
And we're going to hang out all next week as well. So
exactly, it's going to be awesome.
So for folks that don't know you, let's just jump right in. Who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
Oh, well, that was a lot of questions, heavy ones, but my name is Carsten Meilbak. I am a Microsoft MVP in Teams and actually also in Mesh. I think we are less than 10 MVPs in Microsoft Mesh. I am based in Denmark, a little outside Copenhagen, where I have a little country farm with my 2 kids and my wife and a lot of horses. I am primarily doing voice and meetings. So yeah, pretty heavily into that. Comes from a long work history where I started up as an electrician, and to be honest, I was too lazy to go out and do manual work, so I kind of studied on, and telephony was the path for me, and yeah, just the way it went. I think when I was doing, 10 years or something like that of regular PBXs, I got contact from a Microsoft partner saying, hey, you want to do this OCS together with us, won't you? And yeah, that's where I jumped in, and I've been working with Microsoft ever since, and love it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I remember when I was a chief evangelist out of a governance and migration ISV. And occasionally we'd come across customers and they needed help on the unified communication side. And it was always difficult to find, like the UC folks that were expertise in the Microsoft systems were just tapped out all the time, always growing, could never find enough people, like very busy folks. And so now they're hanging out more, and I don't yet have my MCT, but I'm training up on the MS700 for that, and it's all of the UC stuff. I'm like, I need to go back and learn all this stuff to prepare for it. But what was your path to becoming an MVP? Like, is it something that you knew about the program for a long time, or kind of what was that journey like?
It was actually a very long journey. That Microsoft partner that was hiring me for doing their phone stuff and so on, they had an MVP guy, and it was back in the old days when they had the masters as well. When you can be Link and Skype and Exchange and AD and all that. And that was actually one of the really things that was putting me and say, hey, I want that one. And finally we got approved, and then they stopped the rotation and put away the master exams. And then we had this guy that was MVP. I thought, hey, that's kind of interesting. But I changed job, and to be honest, I was more focused on doing the hours and get stuff done and so on. And then a couple of years ago, I got completely independent, and I just said to myself, one of the goals I want to do more community work. I want to get out and speak. So I do some Friday Tech videos on LinkedIn where I talk about different subjects and so on. I thought, hey, that's actually what I want to do. And then, of course, the goal was not to be an MVP, because, if that's the goal, forget it. You really kill yourself for working on that one. But it was, of course, some kind of thing that could be interesting and add more into it. So I thought, what the heck, we give it a go. And one of my friends nominated me after, I think, a year or something like that, where I've been creating content and had a couple of conferences and so on. And it was actually the worst time, because it was, I got my nomination and I sent it in, and they were a little late. And then there comes the yearly review. The yearly review is kind of what we are now, where Microsoft are looking into all of existing MVPs. So it took even longer time, and the internet was just flowing with new LinkedIn hits with I got renewed and so on. I'm waiting for mine, and I think it was 7 months or something like that. And at the end of that night, when everybody got renewed, I actually got my approval. So that was a super day for that one. And and then it's just keep on going. And the cool thing about this is that all MVP knows that when you are within it, you just get a group of friends and people to hang out with and talk and discuss different stuff. So really a super fun.
From a networking aspect to it, it's fantastic, and to more readily get the ear of Microsoft product and marketing and different various teams, otherwise, for folks that just think that, hey, and they dote on every word that MVP say, like that is not true at all. Like if you are a large global enterprise client, that's who they listen the most closely to. But it is, we have this unique view into, we get advanced views of things and get to talk about product roadmaps and get feedback based on our experience, and it's great to have. So there's always multiple ways to have a voice inside of Microsoft and what they're doing. This is just another way. But to your point too, it's true. Like I always give advice, if you're not doing like the sharing, if you're not built that way to do it, it can be very difficult to then just
you shouldn't try.
Right.
Yeah. When people come and say, hey, I want to be an MVP, how to do it? I say, don't. I mean, honestly, don't do it, because if the goal is the MVP, it's too hard. I mean, I get up in the morning 5 o'clock on Fridays and do my video. That's my thing. I mean, that's something that you have to burn for it. Really have the energy for it, and I love it. It doesn't matter if I'm MVP or not. I did it before. I'm gonna continue. If I'm not gonna renew it, I mean, if you have that fire, that interesting, then yeah, definitely MVP is a nice side order on it, but don't make it as a goal.
Yeah, it's right. It's not, which is not to say that somebody who has the ambition to be in a program, like this and do the things. And sometimes there's you could develop healthy habits and practices. Like I met an MVP. I've mentioned this quite a few times if anybody watches the series, but met an MVP who had never written a blog post, had never presented at a conference, not written any books, didn't have a YouTube page. Like her primary activity was, number one was answering questions on forums, and then writing scripts and tools and stuff and making it available out through those forums. But at such a volume. And I've met a couple people that were like this, that would set up a time, but like before even reading through email in the morning, but every day they'd set aside like 15-20 minutes to try and answer at least one question very quickly and help somebody, and did that consistently. It was built into their calendar. That's a great healthy habit that can set you on the path to doing that. But you're right, whether or not you become an MVP, there's value, there's benefits to helping people in the community.
And that's got to be the main drive. That's got to be the main drive on it. And yeah, if you don't like to talk, I have friends also that are MVPs that are not really happy about talking but preferring to do, forum blogs or something like that. And definitely a cool way of doing it. I'm the other hand around. I mean, I love doing videos. I like doing my talks and my sessions and so on. And I would never go through a blog because, to be honest, I'm not the biggest writer. And then it's just, I'll just go dead on that one. So yeah, luckily it's a very, very variety of different stuff that we can do and help the community. So yeah.
Well, I have to ask you too, with your concentration, like what is going on with Mesh? Like I've not heard much about it in a while. I don't think I'm going to be going to any Mesh sessions next week, if there are any.
There are two, and two very important one. What is going on with Mesh? I know internally that it was moved the product group on the team, so which is kind of nice as in Teams MVP. We're still pushing it. We're still. I was at a conference 2 weeks ago in Copenhagen, Expert Live actually.
Very familiar.
That one exactly, and we had a demo out in the foyer. A lot of interesting on it. So I think the biggest problem with Mesh right now is that, are we ready for it? I mean, it's very in the early stage. Everybody thinks it's interesting, but people have problems seeing, okay, how can I use it? So inform about use cases, saying you can use it for those meetings, or you can use it for this event or something like that. That's where we are with Mesh at the moment. So yeah, I mean, people are saying we were never gonna have meeting like that. No, because a regular sit-down meeting when we are sitting with a monitor in front of us and a camera, so that's not where we are doing it. It's got to be exhibition, product lounges, team building, get together, workshops, and so on. And
or hybrid events. Like during pandemic, I mean, I started to see some pop up where they're doing a hybrid event where they're doing kind of a combination.
Converse was actually a hybrid event, the UK conference for teams and so on. So really awesome for doing something like that. Training for showing new products and so on. I think one of Microsoft's cases, I think they still have it, is when you have those large ships, how do you do fire drills and so on? How do you train personals? Because I mean, the ships are out in the ocean doing their stuff, and if you want to train them, so they build entire rooms and so on in Mesh where you can go around and test and see what should you do and where should you go, and so yeah. But I think it will take a couple of years before it's really common to use it. When I'm out having session, it's fun to see people under 30 are nodding and say, yeah, we use it, and it's really interesting. And people above 30 are saying, yeah, I mean, the avatar don't even have legs. Yeah, forget about that. That's the minor detail, and that's the first thing that we are spotting. Okay, what's not working, and yeah, small stuff like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say my joke is always that you have to pay for the E7 license to get the legs on your app.
Exactly for that one, yeah. But it's actually funny. I'm part of a little group called Let's Talk About Teams with two others MVPs where we talk about Teams, meeting rooms, and voice and whatever out there. And we looked into Mesh together and so on. And we start, buying goggles and get everything and into the universe. And it was really cool. And within 10, 15 minutes, we completely forgot about that we were actually avatars and so on, because it's just so natural, and you got your sound coming from all the directions, and
that's something that unless you've experienced it, like I was very skeptical of that. I'm part of that over 30, I just don't see the value. I went to a presentation. Now, it wasn't Microsoft technology, but just it was another vendor that had built some things, and they had so I put the headgear on. It's amazing how quickly your brain adjusts to that. And that it isn't just like looking at an old Dire Straits video of very
it's just smooth
robotic. And it is.
Yeah, you see water movement and you see the sky moving and all that stuff. And if you do content share, I mean, now it's Microsoft that we're focused on here. If you have content share and so on, everything is perfectly fine, and you can see video feeds from other ones that are in the Teams meeting and so on. So it is actually high quality on it. So yeah.
Well, they shared a great demo. What was developed by, it was built for an actual program. They got permission or licensed it from one of the local universities, where they had, so it was like a classroom setting, kind of the stadium seating with the professor down there talking, and you could go down there, and it was like a health science. It had a giant beating heart, and you could go down there, and then it would pull apart the sections while it's still moving. And you could walk around and look at it from different angles. It would talk about different things, features on it. Like, I just thought it was incredible to see that in person. But I always, again, talking about how quickly the brain adjusted that. There's that other, I don't know what game it is. It's fairly common out there, where you go up the elevator in the building, you're like 25 stories up, and you walk out on the plank. I think it's called Plank. And the only way to end. The only way to end the simulation is you have to step off.
Oh.
And so, not like watching people who have the headgear on doing this, and how freaked out they are with helicopters flying by, and there's a giant spiders that come up on the building to scare you off. And then the funny step that people awkwardly take this, or some people fall on the ground because they're so fearful because of, again, their brain is adjusted to it. They think they're 25 stories up.
And it's really crazy. I mean, what we found, because I mean, I'm touring around with a couple of headsets when I'm demoing Mesh, and we see two types of people. Luckily, not that many, the first one, but they actually get motion sickness. It's really a few people get motion sickness. You have to sit down and get the equipment off, because it's so real, and you're moving without moving and so on. So it's really a few of them. Myself, the first time I tried on, I had it on 2 minutes. I had to sit down again, and luckily it's just passing over. But yeah.
Well, I'm very excited, but I'm less of a VR fan. I'm more of an AR, like the augmented reality, being able to see through the glasses, but see the real world and interact. And Microsoft has done, for years, they did demos. There's one on stage where you could see on the big screen, like what the people with the goggles were seeing. And they were designing, they had people that were online and people that were there live on stage, and they were walking around. I think it was like a motorcycle engine, and they were looking at stuff.
Yeah, they were talking about that one. Yeah.
So I think that stuff is out. You can find it on the internet. I think that might have been Microsoft Build when they were showcasing some of that.
Yeah,
but anyway.
And a couple of years ago. And sadly, we don't have that in production real life now. It is still completely immersive space that we have. it probably comes. I will be the biggest fan of that one. I love the idea that we put augmented reality up. So yeah, but for now, Mess is it's only a cartoon, as I sometimes call it. So,
Yeah.
but still a very good one. So
Yeah. Well, what are you most passionate about on the team side? What are you like creating videos around? What are your clients asking about? What are you talking about these days?
I think one of the most interesting thing, and it's a small thing, but it's voice isolation. I don't know if you recall, but Ilya was showing it. Where you learn, or teams learn your voice, and then it'll just remove all kind of backgrounds and other persons. It's not a complete new thing, but it's something that's really focused on after Copilot.
Yeah.
Because one thing is that obviously you remove all noises. If you're sitting in an open office and you have a lot of people behind you talk, you will only hear my voice. It will filter everything else. That's very nice. But what's really become awesome is that if you're going into a meeting room, let's say just for the argument, you have 4 people in a meeting room and you use Copilot for transcripting. It will just say meeting room 1 and will say, unless you have learned your voice, then it will actually know that in meeting room 1, Carsten is saying, or Christian is saying, or Sophia is saying, and so on. And then the transcript then begins to be way more powerful because we know who's actually saying and doing what.
Yeah.
So that small little thing that we're using to get better audio are just so powerful in Teams rooms when we have Copilot involved. So
yeah, and that was actually something that, again, going back to, I think it was built in 2017 or 2018, where they did like the future of the meeting room or something, and they had that capability, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
And again, it was hybrid, so there were people that were there, and it would recognize who was speaking, what actions, and then the AI on the top of that. So I was like, when I take notes in a meeting, I mean, this is why I'm a number one a fan of Copilot, the capabilities is around capturing recordings of meetings, and then getting the transcript and being able to then ask questions about that. When I take notes throughout my entire professional career, it's like, for some reason, I only hear the things that I care about or that are related to me. That's just me.
There's a filter. Yeah, that's a professional filter. Yeah.
Yeah. But to be able to, like, if I'm focusing in on something like the projects that I own and I completely miss that, somebody asks a questions or assigns something to me on that, to be able to get that back, it's like that's my number one Copilot weekly activity is go back and look at all of my emails, all of my chats, all of my meeting notes, all those things. Let me know what the asks were, what the requirements out of my projects. And then I go through that list, and there's always 1 or 2 things like, oh yeah, I forgot that. I didn't capture it. Let me move that over. So I love that kind of capability.
Yeah. It's so nice because in old days you were missing something, or you went through your inbox and what emails have I missing and so on, and having an archive system and unread and all that stuff. So yeah, really, really love that one. That, hey, what am I missing? Or just in meetings that you can at the end saying, hey, do we have any unsolved questions, or do we have any tasks we need to follow up and so on. I love it. And just make everything easier when we have voice recognition in meeting rooms. So, yeah.
So I kind of a final question for you is like, do you, so I'm sure in the couple of years you've been in the program now, you get people that come and say, hey, what does it take to become an MVP and stuff? I keep getting a version of the question where, like, is there a certain area that you recommend that you think that like the MVP program is shorthanded on? Like, do you see any areas that are strong opportunities for people that might be doing a lot of the community activity, but you also have to have a strong, at least initially, like 1, maybe 2 at most, like product focused to come in? Do you see any gaps out there? Do you see any opportunities?
Security is always interesting, and I guess that one is open for the next many years and so on. And of course, the Copilot or the AI trip is really something. Yeah. The security and AI, that's probably the areas where we are missing most MVPs, because it's going that fast. I mean, a lot of us that were working with teams are also working with Copilot. It makes perfect sense that we are moving over that one. But I mean, it's just such a wide area. So It's like in the good old days. Yeah, I'm an Office 365 consultant. No, you're not. Now you have it split down because it's so wide. And I think we begin to see the same here with Copilot, that we have all the different Copilots, but just M365 Copilots begin being that wide that we need to split that one up. So I think focus on some areas in that one would probably be a perfect way if you're looking for a way in to a new technology area.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're out there naturally, if you're already out there experimenting with various AI tools and playing with things and building some Copilot expertise, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's tremendous opportunity. But you go ask CEOs, CIOs, like their priorities. Security is always the top of the list. And I think that we'll never have enough fellow security-focused MVPs. And then AI is number 2. So Copilot is another strong area.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, very cool. Well, Carsten, excited. We'll be hanging out next week, as I said. But for folks that want to get in touch with you, besides LinkedIn, which we all have, are you active in any other social areas? Where can people find you the most readily?
It is actually LinkedIn. That's my preferred platform. That's where I do all my stuff and so on. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel, but pretty much just loading up my videos from LinkedIn. So kind of archiving them. So yeah.
Very cool. We'll of course have links to all that out in the blog post and out on the YouTube video as well. So Carsten, really thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in Redmond next week.
Definitely. See you. Thanks for having me.